What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the second season of the Outbreak podcast, where we have discussions with people who are involved in the festival, who have played it, who are creating culture around it. These are all incredibly important things for the festival and, frankly, the community all around it. This thing has become much larger than any of us ever anticipated, and we're incredibly thankful for you, the consumer, for making that happen. And speaking of making things happen, we have a autumn edition of the Outbreak Festival on October 27th at the BEC Arena. Just let's talk about this lineup. It's incredible. It's got The Story So Far, Citizen, Speed, Angel Dust, Fucked Up, Fleshwater, Narrowhead, and honestly, a ton more. There's like 5 or 6 other bands that are announced, but go to outbreak-fest.co.uk or just Google Outbreak Fest, or obviously find it on Instagram, all the places, and you will be able to check that out. It's going to be an amazing show. It's a one-night thing, so please get your tickets now. And also the 2025 edition will be announced at some point in the future, but just, hold your horses, so to speak. But anyways, business notes aside, let's talk about who we have on the show today. We have Chris and Jonah from Hot Mulligan, an incredible band that has really blown up over this past year. I've personally seen them a couple times here in the States, and watching them over at Outbreak was astonishing. It was great. Even with all the rain, the band brought it. The crowd was super stoked on it, and you could just tell that the band is, not only going to continue to get more popular, but is going to be, pushing up against the notion of what, a pop punk band sounds like in the year 2024. So this conversation was recorded in an slightly uncontrolled environment, so please forgive any background noise, but you'll be able to hear the conversation, which is frankly the most important thing. So we're going to be releasing new episodes every 2 weeks, so please follow and subscribe, because that way you will not miss an episode as it comes into your inbox or your YouTube feed. And speaking of YouTube, we are obviously recording these on video as well. I mean, not obviously, because maybe you're listening to this in audio and you're like, you know what? I want to have a visual representation of what these human beings look like. You can do that. We're publishing it to the Outbreak Fest feed on YouTube. And then obviously, if you are subscribed on the podcast, you can continue to consume that as well. But we're incredibly excited that we can bring video to this, and it's awesome. So big shout out to our main sponsor, or a presenting sponsor this year, which is Squarespace. And use the promo code Outbreak at squarespace.com for 10% off of your first website or domain. You can also reach out to us at podcast@outbreak-fest.co.uk for any feedback or questions or just ideas that you have, because we always love to hear that stuff. So anyways, let's talk to Jonah and Chris from Hot Mulligan now.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jonah.
I play guitar and sing sometimes in Hot Mulligan.
I play bass.
I play bass. That actually describes most bassists in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I play bass. I'm just hanging out back here. When you guys need me? I mean,
I just started singing a little bit, but
you've graduated.
yeah.
You're allowed to do to sing?
Looking at him.
That's true. I would allow him to sing much sooner, if you know what I'm saying.
I mean, trying to get him to sing my parts.
Well, I am genuinely excited to talk to you guys, because it's one of those things where I was joking about this before we were recording. As a grown-ass adult who's watched punk hardcore evolve over the years, and you see a band like Hot Mulligan come on the scene, and I was immediately like, I'm not listening to them. This is... And then I listened to it and I was like, okay, this isn't stupid. This is really good. And then watching you guys evolve as a band to be like, yes, we're of course tongue in cheek. We obviously have a humor element to it, but we're deadly serious about pop punk, which I know that's a diminishing. We're so serious, but is it one of those things where people I mean, I know like your fans are going to come up to you and be like, dude, Hot Mulligan's a stupid band name. But like, is it one of those things where you feel like you're trying to outlive the name in a like, not in a bad way, but just being like, oh yeah, we are a band. Like, pay attention to music.
I would say it's like one of those things when we first started and we were touring with maybe bands we looked up to or even getting the chance to play a show with them. We were still talking amongst ourselves saying like, this doesn't sound like a real band name. And like all these other guys we're playing with, this sounds like their band names. But I think just after so much time, it just sounds like one. But definitely at first, it's like we are called Hot Mulligan. And then there's like press or record labels that are like, we're not touching that.
Right.
Much like you. Like, I'm not touching that. Why is it like that?
And I think it's the delineation for me was like, oh, this was not for me. This was not created for me as far as like, okay, this was created for 17 to 25-year-olds, whatever. I'm just typifying something.
Yeah.
But it's like for me, what got me about what you're doing was the earnestness of the approach, where it was like, okay, we're serious about our music. Like our lyrics are serious. Like they're fun, but they're serious. And I think that's where like people like myself and others, where they were just like, oh, I guess I do mess with this band, even though like I might not publicly admit it. You know, like there's that element of getting over it. So like when people started to, you know, recognize you and like you started to develop your own following, it wasn't one of those things where it's like people were just constantly joking around about the name, but being like, oh, but you guys are good. Like,
yeah, I would say a little bit in the stars.
Yeah.
Like I was, well, you even still see it on Reddit now. I was so put off by these guys because of the name. Sounds like the Cleveland Steamer. Like I'm trying to take a shit on someone's chest. You
right.
know?
It's a really good sex move.
Yeah,
right.
that's what the Cleveland Steamer is. But yeah, it's pretty much like that.
Yeah. And I don't mean to like really harp on that point, but I just think it's one of those things where it's like, especially too, when you're starting a band, like the band name is so dumb. Like no matter what it is, like even if you think it's a cool name initially,
Yeah.
a year later you're like, damn it, that sucks. And so the fact that you guys were not only like, no, we're doubling down on this, we're going to continue to release music, continue to tour, it's like, this is us, and like take it or leave it. And I think that it's probably, you're proud of the fact that you can like, you know, bring nerds like me into your band where it's like, yeah, you have to reckon with us because we're going to be here regardless of your opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, I like what you said about even if you think the band name is sick right away, it's probably not sick. This is just the first example I thought of, but there's like Verb the Now bands like Poison the Well. I'm not talking shit on Poison the Well, but like we could have been like Shit in the Bed or like Fight the Press or like, you know, something like that just tries to do that thing, and that probably would have aged out worse than whatever we did.
Well, of course,
But
like, yeah,
wasn't intentional.
totally.
Yeah.
And it's like, you look at like, especially with certain bands of certain genres and eras where it's like, you know, you listen to, and this, again, no shots against this band, but like For the Fallen Dreams, where you're like, oh, you're 2004.
You know what it sounds like before you listen to it.
Right.
Well, it's great for those bands because it does help you find that thing. But yeah, if we would have done that, it just wouldn't have been right.
Yeah, exactly. This question is a little bit askew, but I think you'll enjoy it. The idea, because I think it'll show a little bit of your personality, so to speak. If I were to wake up, I know we don't know each other well because we met 3 minutes ago, but I'm in love with you guys. I want to give you $1 million+ infinite budget, whatever, to start a retail. I will not shake your hand right now until I hear your idea. So I want you to start, and it can be both individual stores, as it were, but like a retail store. You can sell something. You can offer your services, whatever it is you want to do. What would you do with that space, so to speak? What would you do?
If we were given like a storefront?
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be like for a band or anything. It could just be for you personally.
I'm just gonna give my honest answer, which I feel like is super common amongst like music guys.
It's okay.
But probably just like a record shop that sells like I like old shirts.
I noticed.
So stuff like that, maybe some coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to overcharge for those vintage shirts?
Whatever market value is, you know.
Fair.
I'll sell it for what I got it for, maybe plus $20.
Right.
Got to keep the store open, but
well, I mean, I guess with a benefactor like me, you wouldn't need to worry about that.
That's true.
But you do need to, like,
bring the prices down then.
But I am going
change
to look
the
at your profit and loss sheet to be like, are you operating on a good
Yeah.
business? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So coffee, vintage, tea shop. I mean, I'm there. So that's good.
Yeah, it's a wreck.
I would probably go like coffee shop, art gallery, photo gallery
Okay.
type deal. I was a barista before, so I actually liked being a barista. So I'd be happy to be still making coffee and just chatting with people. Then I like shooting on the side, just some photos and stuff. So it'd be cool to maybe have a spot where other photographers would bring their work in. And for me, I'm like, I just get to see it, you know, so I'm stoked on that. But hopefully someone else would want to come in and like the same stuff.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like both of them are spaces in which the idea is like, you're going to hang out, you're going to have an experience, you can do some shopping, but you're going to be seeing some art,
Yeah.
some coffee, whatever.
I would want something that's maybe like a cool, like the freelance spot to go, you know, for those work from home people that want to get out of their house to go somewhere to do their thing for the day. It would be cool to have a spot that's kind of community focused like that. People bounce stuff off each other.
I think they call that in the society the third space.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
Exactly.
I couldn't think of the word for it,
You're
but
like-
I would want to be the third space with some coffee. Yep. Right.
I like both those responses because it obviously showcases you as a person, but I think it's the idea of contributing more to just like, you know, art in general, where it's like, I mean, obviously it's like aesthetics from t-shirts, and it's like there's a deliberate nature in being in a band where you're like, when you're looking at the Hot Mulligan shirts for a new tour or whatever, like you're not just being like, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, some band members do, and that's fine, but
Yeah.
the idea of like, I want to represent something where they're just like, this looks sick, like being more than just what the music contains. Like, I'm guessing that that's a real passion point of yours for you guys.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, we care for sure about like the merch designs. I would like to make stuff that like in 30 years, people who like find out about the band later would still like to wear, in the same way that I like to wear old stuff. And some band shirts don't age well. And it's like, you want to make designs that people are going to like for a while. So that's definitely important to me.
Right. Yeah. Well, you just need to change your band name.
Right.
Joke. Just had to call back to that.
This podcast is sponsored by Squarespace. What I love about this company is that they serve the creative and independent community so dang well. When you're just like, man, I need to start a website. I got to get like a domain. Where do I even begin? Like, do I have to get these all from a bunch of different people? But no, Squarespace makes it super easy for you to design your own website, sell stuff from your website. So like, if you are a band, there is no better way than to be like, hey, how about I sign up for Squarespace and then design a cool website, put some tour dates up, and then sell some merch, all from the same place. That's what's incredible. I started to build out my own Squarespace website because I've realized that I've just used a terrible website for many, many years. We're talking like the dawn of podcast, or the dawn of the internet, as it were. But anyways, I'm very excited because they have so many awesome tools. They have AI suggestions, which is like not in the creepy way, but in the way that's just like, hey, this would probably be helpful. Have you thought about this? Oh my gosh, it's so easy. So if you are looking to launch your brand, your band, whatever it is, go to squarespace.com/outbreak and you will be able to get 10% off of your first website or domain. Please do it. You won't regret it. And Squarespace will be there every step of the way with amazing customer service if you run into any issues whatsoever. That's what I love about Squarespace. They are your true partners in whatever it is you're launching. So build your brand, band, whatever it is on the internet with Squarespace.
Since you guys, I mean, you guys have obviously done a wide variety of tours in regards to the DIY stuff you did, you know, when you were first beginning to like, I mean, watching you guys at that House of Blues tour, like it was really cool for me to watch because it was such like, talk about randoms where it's like, you're not playing to a scene anymore per se. And that's cool because you obviously are, you know, being more than just like, you know, oh, a Warped Tour adjacent band or whatever. RIP Warped Tour. But is it like, how do you guys evolve just from like, all right, we're playing bigger stages. Like, is this comfortable? Do we like this? Like, how do you adjust as you do that?
I would say kind of like one of our, I don't know what the word is to use, but like we we haven't really approached that much. Like, we consider it a little bit that we're in this setting and there's like a status quo or the things you're supposed to do or whatever. But I would say we definitely haven't been the band to say like, well, this is what you got to do, so we go do it. We've kind of just given the same show throughout the time, which is like guys on the stage playing the instruments, less of a show, more of a like play the song type stuff. And then through the years, we've just learned to maybe like tune the guitars a little faster, not ramble. But like we don't spend any time preaching really during our sets or nothing. It's kind of just cracking jokes, saying this is what's going on. It's maintained its lightheartedness, I would say.
Right.
So
like you're obviously still having fun and you're engaging the crowd, but like in a slightly different fashion than like you're not gonna, play to 100 people acting like you're playing to 1,000. Like you modulate yourself based on your presence, not your stage show, but like your presence, where it's like, we're not gonna yell to the back of the room because there's literally no back of the room or whatever.
yeah, there's stuff like that, but I also felt the inverse at times too when we were doing the DIY shows, and we've played shows to the 2 people that we put on the guest list, and not even the other bands that were on the show like stuck around to watch our set, probably because of the name. Sure. Stuff like that. But we've always kept the mentality that like we like jamming together and having band practice. So if there's 2 people there, like, are you still jamming and having band practice and having fun playing the songs? And then you talk your shit in between the songs. And that same mentality kind of does stick through when we're doing like, we opened for Fall Out Boy and did some arenas. And, there's a lot more people there, but it kind of feels just as disconnected as playing to the 2 people when they're so far away and there's so many people. It's kind of like there's not people.
Right.
So at least for me, I like to try to just keep that, like, I like to play the songs with my band. So I'm going to do that and have fun doing that during the song. And, we'll change maybe what we say in between songs, but
sure.
But I feel like we kind of give the same show no matter what, in terms of energy.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I mean, I saw you guys at Chain Reaction many years ago, and it's like bands evolved to where it's like you obviously get more adult-like in your approach, where you're just like, oh yeah, we're not like rambling for 7 minutes in between songs or whatever, but it's that idea of being like, oh yeah, like we need to treat this space with the respect it deserves, because like these people, like, like granted, of course, people are buying Fall Out Boy tickets, like may not have any clue who you are, most likely they don't.
Yep, exactly.
And so you're like,
yeah.
Oh, we're going to respect this audience, being like, hey, if you want to come join our party, like, here we are.
Yep.
And you're going to see us hopefully a year from now, and we'll put on the same show, but you'll be there to watch us play longer.
Yeah. Yeah, and we try to do that just without, like, giving you, like, any of the... When we did the Fall Out Boy tour, we didn't come out there trying to be Fall Out Boy either, but yeah, you got to give it the respect it deserves, and...
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were
spot.
Right, you weren't going to bring out the flaming bass like Pete would, obviously.
Well, I did bring my flaming bass, but then when I saw he had it as well, out of respect, I put it away.
You're like, listen, Pete, I know you're a hardcore kid. Like, we'll let bygones be bygones.
Yeah.
I'll put the flaming bass away.
Yeah, I thought we had it at the Tech Rider too, so it was disappointing.
Someone in the camp just obviously didn't communicate that apparently.
Yeah.
This is also kind of a personality question, as it were, but when the band was, growing up, as far as just getting out there touring, like putting the band at the focal point of your life, obviously there's side hustles and jobs you're working just to be able to like get on the road and like get the band afloat by keeping yourself afloat. What were some like side jobs or gigs or jobs that you're actually working as the band was growing up to be able to be like, all right, here we go. Like I knew you were a barista. That's how. So
I also was a barista, quote unquote, at Starbucks for a while.
That's even though it's corporate.
That's a barista.
Yeah, but you're just pressing a button that's like 2 espresso shots. I'm not like making it,
Okay, but no, you're still like steaming the milk and doing like, just because the drinks are named, you're still doing it. That was the same at the coffee shop I work at.
Yeah. I suppose. Yeah. I've had so many. Worked at a screen printing shop, bars, venues.
Okay.
places that'll let you leave for a month at a time and come back,
Right.
I started in high school. My first job was an AM radio station, where I pretty much just did the sports broadcasts, but I just hit the commercials in between the announcers from like miles away or wherever they were doing it.
Yep.
And then did grocery store for a little bit as a cashier. I worked for the U.S. National Forest Service one summer as a youth conservation corps member.
That's incredible.
I did like traveled out to campsites and just like maintained those and put in stairs and stuff. And then I did barista was like my last job before I had to not come back to something. But then as I stopped being a barista, I was working production like as a like an usher or doing doors, stuff like that, because we had started meeting enough people from the shows that were playing in Michigan to like, oh, like you're our promoter and our friend now, and you need someone to work this show, and we're not on tour, so like we'll come work that
I'm
show.
here.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so. I love the jobs that obviously enable people, and not only enable, but then understand where it's like there's so many jobs and industries that have been stood up by touring musicians. Because they're just being like, oh yeah, like these people are gonna work, and like all these, people are gonna be working in a call center or whatever, and it's just like they're all showing up in their, hardcore band T-shirts or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna be on tour in a month, so like, I'll see you then. And it's like so many industries have no idea. I mean, especially it's like, yeah, like coffee shops across America. It's like the only reason not the only reason they serve good coffee, but like the employees that work there, that's the reason they exist is because bands.
Fair enough.
But I wish my coffee shop was bringing in bands. I worked underneath a law office, and that hurt. They treated me with zero respect.
Oh yeah, that is no fun.
Yeah.
Watching the band grow in regards to, especially, I mean, the again going back to like the earnest nature of it, where it's like the heart of the sleeve approach of lyric writing and everything. There's an element of being like, yo, this is way too cheesy. Like this, you cross a line. And especially like now that you are deeper in the band's like life and career, is there like that element of like, we do need to make sure that we're not just being like this parody of ourselves versus like actual expression?
I would say to a little degree, we gotta give so much credit to Tate, who's not here right now, but our singer and lead vocalist. I've written a few songs, more so in the back, like older catalog than I do currently. My songs back then though were more of like the relationship type songs, and we've kind of like fizzled that out. Not to like not be corny, but it just like, we get in long-term relationships. Like, is that even a genuine song to write at that point? But then as far as Tate's writing lyrics, there's not been an ounce of that. He just has a new thing to say every time, like straight from the heart, and we never second guess it.
Right. Yeah, you're like, guess what? We like you, and we like what you sing about. Go ahead and keep doing it.
Yeah, he's got the perspective to make sure it doesn't become tried out or that cliche.
Yeah. No,
At least in my opinion.
Well, of course. I mean, and that's like, ultimately, when you are trusting a vocalist or singer that is writing the lyrics, it's like, you got to believe this because like this is what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah, and he doesn't give any leeway to what he believes or like exaggeration. It's very much from his perspective and awareness, and
Yeah, no, it's great, and that you guys trust him because it probably would be the worst experience being like, hey guys, here's this, and then you guys are like, I don't know about all of this.
Yeah.
You're going to need to like change this all up. And it's like, oh, what? Like, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah. That would be
I mean, in the same way that it'd be like, I mean, yes, you can edit music a little bit differently, but it's still like, you're going to feel bad about that.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to hit on was you guys have obviously done a lot of touring over here in the UK, mainland Europe, United States, all the above. I'm giving you carte blanche to obviously either make fun of Europe or the UK in regards to just like weird differences where you're just like, okay, why do you guys do this and America does this? Or vice versa, where you're like, yo, the UK or Europe has this on point in the States. What are we doing? So I'm giving you guys the floor because I find that incredibly interesting.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, the most glaring one
Yes.
at this moment in time, not today,
It's okay.
but the rest of the tour, there's no air conditioning.
Why would you need that, right?
I'm like a 68 degrees Fahrenheit type of guy, and there is none of that. So I am just sweating all the time, and I know why, but I don't know why.
You know why from a
People have explained it to me,
Right.
but I'm still like, you should just have it anyway.
right.
Yeah.
I appreciate
As an
right. I appreciate the perspective, but you're wrong. Right.
Yeah.
I need to be 68 degrees. Right.
Yeah.
I need to be climate controlled. So okay, no AC. Got there.
I'm gonna side with Jonah there because he's my preferred roommate in hotels because of the 68 degrees. He likes it the coldest. I also like it really cold. So like if I gotta choose, I'm gonna hop in Jonah's room and know that it's ice cold and I'm waking up feeling good and fresh.
Right.
So like I'm gonna pay a little attention to the German compliment, which is where they compliment you but they talk shit on you at the same time.
So
But the one that really gets me is the staring.
okay.
I don't know if you guys even noticed that, but we went out to dinner the other day in Munster. I'm looking around, you like catch someone by the eye and you want to like keep glancing, but you notice they don't stop. And I like look back and they're still staring at me and I'm like, this is fucking weird. And I'll look back for, I swear it's minutes sometimes. And they're like, well, we caught eye contact, so I'm going to look at you until I figure out what's going on.
Right.
But there's no threatening aura about it. I just feel intimidated because I'm not trying to stare at you.
Right. It's just accidental eye contact that turns into I am vibing you out.
Yes, yeah. And because, yeah, yes.
What do you got going on? That the German compliment is easily one of my favorite things. Basically in all of music, to just like be like, you used to be good. What happened?
Yeah.
They don't mince words.
No.
Yeah.
And like it's so amazing that every band, regardless of genre, has experienced it. Where it's just like, it's so beautiful where it just cuts straight to it and you're like, okay, I'm not as cool as I once thought because this German person thought like, I'm fatter this time apparently.
But then if they say something nice, you know they mean it.
That's
You
true.
do mean it, yeah.
I would, because obviously there's always a compliment where it's just like, I love your band, you were better last time, or whatever,
right.
like,
Yeah.
terrible German accent, but like, that idea where it's just like, it's kind of like the love tap, and then followed by a slap, and then you're just like, I don't know which one to react to first.
Yeah, I mean, we heard about it a little bit before the first time we came over here, and then I think our first show in Europe was in Germany. We had a shipping delay or something, so we had to get all of our merch on time. We only had 2 t-shirts for that show. Finished the set. I didn't know what to think, and someone's like, amazing show. Merch sucks. Why only 2 designs? Like, I'm like, dude, like, believe me, I'm upset about this too. Fuck.
You're like, we're
Fuck,
both
man.
in the same boat.
Yeah, thanks though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Merch sucks though. I only 2 designs.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
hey, you live and you learn.
You live and you learn. Well, we had learned. I knew. And that's why it hurts so much because I'm like, if we tried, and it was not in our control. We had more designs, and why are you shitting on
I know
me?
why. I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
Yes. I'm glad we did that. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you hanging out with me. We'll do
Thanks
the
for
official
having us.
handshake to signify the end of said interview. But thank you.